Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3. Right, next comparison is these two cameras. Whoa, that's a bit of difference, isn't it? This is the Nikon D850 with my 70-200 f2.8 FLED lens. I'm forcing myself to go and use this camera body as well as this lens a bit more. So as reference, so a little bit of comparison, I suppose. I've got the Leica M10R black paint limited edition with the 90mm f2 backball Summicron lens. So that will be an interesting comparison between the two. This one I think is 47 megapixel as far as the camera body is concerned, and this one is 40 megapixel camera. So as far as the file sizes, they're going to be similar. As far as the detail, I'm expecting these are both quality lenses, so I'm also expecting that the photographs will be similar. This is 90mm. This has a zoom range of 70-200, so I will do some comparisons at 90 and also take some photographs at the different zoom ranges from 70 to 200. I guess what will be interesting is cropping, because you could take the shot at 90 and then crop so you've got a 200 frame to a certain extent, even though your depth of field and your perspective will be different compared to taking it at 200 in the first place. So it should be fun. And as always, I'll incorporate some exercise in this. So it's going to be a walking trip today, walking around Sydney within my local area so I can stay within the COVID restrictions and take some photographs, which I'll be able to share with you part of the journey. Let's get on with the exercise, literally exercise, as well as the photography. Okay, well, I'm back from my excursion out there and around Sydney Harbour again, taking a few photographs. Yes, so it's definitely exercise, weightlifting. Now, from a physical aspect, this you can wear around your neck. You can go walking, you can jog, you can jump, you can do whatever you like, and you survive. When you're holding this around your neck, it's a different thing. Besides the physical aspect of it, it's the weight as well that you're handling. Let's have a look at the photographs. Okay, well, in Lightroom now, and I've chosen 9 photographs to compare, and what I've done is I've tried to take a similar photograph with both the Leica and the Nikon so that we can see. Let's have a quick look at these photographs. So they are alternating between the Leica and the Nikon. So at a glance you can see how they may differ a little bit, and now I've tried to adjust the light balance of both the photographs for the Nikon and the Leica so they're similar, and I've tried to frame it also similar as well. I've had to do a bit of cropping here and there just to bring them to be about the same size, just to make it a bit easier to compare. Alright, so at a glance on the computer, and probably however you're viewing this video, you don't see a great difference in the detail as such. The colors might be a bit different again depending on the lighting and what happened at the time of the photograph, and some observations that I've made straight away are, so probably the first observation is that the quality of the lenses are very similar. There are some difference in characteristics. Let's just have a look at these 2 photographs here, one with Leica, one with the Nikon. Do a quick comparison. So we've got Leica on the left, Nikon on the right, and we'll just zoom onto something, and what do we notice? Where the biggest errors are, or biggest differences between the 2 photographs, what I found is that the focus is just slightly different between the 2 photographs. So for example here, I've focused with the Leica a bit in the foreground here. If you look at the water here, the water's in focus here in the Leica and slightly out of the focus here with the Nikon. And then, so I think my focus is a bit off here on the Leica. Hence, we've got a bit more detail here on the ropes compared to the Leica with the Nikon. So I think that's probably my first observation, is in the background here, out of focus here, in focus here. All right, well, let's go on to the next photograph with the bird. Okay, okay, here we've got the concrete here, so we can actually see where the depth of field is. So it starts somewhere around here and then goes towards the back leg. With the Nikon, with the automatic focus, the depth of field starts a bit closer to the front leg here and includes the back leg, so you actually see the difference there. Let's see how we got up here. I think we've probably got a bit of focus on the head here with the Nikon than I did manual focus with the Leica. But otherwise, the detail, here we can see the bokeh. There's a slightly difference in bokeh. We've got the onion rings in the bokeh of the Leica. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's personal preference. And then we've got a nice smooth bokeh with the Nikon. Otherwise, both photographs are very clear and very detailed. So here we've got Leica on the left, again Nikon on the right. We've got a bit of aberration here. You can just notice some of the pink around the light areas on the Leica, and there's a Nikon on there. Detail is pretty close to each other, I think. Contrast is slightly different, maybe a bit more contrasty on the Nikon compared to the Leica. Otherwise, a very similar shot. Again, I might have focused slightly differently between the automatic focus on the Nikon and the manual focus on the Leica. Okay, next 2 shots. Okay, so Leica on the left, Nikon on the right. Now with this shot here, I did actually notice that I've got more detail on the Leica compared to the Nikon. So again, I'm presuming that there's a slight difference in focus about what's happened in the distance here. Okay, so yeah, I think the Nikon's focused a bit further on. You can see here with Meriton here on the Nikon, it's more in focus than the Meriton on the Leica. So that shows up here, obviously in the foreground, because I've got more focus here on that little house here, and greater detail than on the Nikon on the right here. So that's why I guess in that first observation is that both lenses are probably similar in detail and capture the detail, which is fantastic. It says a lot for the Nikon, obviously, being a zoom lens and the Leica being a prime lens. And so both produce very similar results. The contrast, the characteristics of the lenses are slightly different, I think. The Nikon is actually producing slightly more contrasty image compared to the Leica 90mm lens. It's just a characteristics, not necessarily what you like or don't like, but you can adjust all these things in Lightroom and post-processing anyway. We've got a couple more shots here, and again, where I focus matters here.
with the Nikon on the right here. I've focused on the flowers and I've missed the focus here with the Leica. With a close-up like this, you really have to decide what you're going to focus on. Otherwise it's very hard to compare. Let's see how this shot lines up as well. Having these mats here helps me also work out where the focus point is. Okay, let's just have a look to see how similar they are. Okay, where's the focus point? I think with the Leica I've focused a bit further back here, and with the Nikon I focused a little bit further forward. How does that show up? It shows up on the bill. I think it's more in focus here. It's a bit more focused towards the back here on the Leica. But otherwise, yeah, lots of detail. Color's good, contrast is good in both shots. And I think it's probably true for this pair of shots as well. Leica on the left, Nikon on the right. The Nikon does a great job with this. Again, what are we doing here? 1/25th of a second. Alright, so we do have vibration reduction on the Nikon, which is an advantage. We don't have any vibration reduction on the Leica. So whether there's a little bit of camera shake that's come in on the Leica, I'm not entirely sure. But we seem to have a clearer image on the Nikon here. Next shot. So we're shooting at 125 of a second again, 125th of a second. And the depth of field here, we're starting here, the focus point starts here and moves. So we really got this screw in focus. The depth of field on the Leica is somewhere over here. We've got a different lighting and conditions outside now, and I think that's the reason for the difference in the exposure and the way the image actually looks here, without making too many adjustments in Lightroom. We've got a clearer image on the Nikon. I suspect it's got to do with camera shake again on the Leica. At 125th of a second here. It's all handheld, so that makes a difference. It's not a tripod photograph in this case, and the vibration reduction on the Nikon is obviously making it a clearer shot. Alright, and I think it's also true for this last photograph. The bag, we got 1/25th of a second again. And I think we've got a clearer shot again with the Nikon. Okay, well, the reality for me is if I'm going to grab a camera just to take a few shots here and there, or a personal event or whatever, it's going to be the Leica. I'll grab the Leica every time. Alright, well, how do you conclude this video? Yes, okay, we've got two very different cameras. It's a physical aspect at the end of the day. I think if I look at my photography over many years, I've always gravitated to things that have been smaller and lighter. That's probably one reason why I took quite a bit of time to move to a digital SLR, and then eventually got all my Nikon gear and upgraded my Nikon gear from the D700 to the D500 to the D850 and now to the Nikon Z6, which I use for filming. But when it comes to taking photographs and picking up a camera on a daily basis, it's always the Leica that I go to. But obviously I love the features that you get with a digital SLR. Would I ever go to the Leica SL cameras, the mirrorless cameras? Away from the rangefinder, compact rangefinder M camera? That's a good question. I just don't use the Nikons as much as I did before I accidentally converted to Leica. Leica's lightweight. That is the biggest advantage, and therefore that's the one that gets used the most. In this particular test, the Nikon had the advantage because it's got the vibration reduction on the lens, and I think that provided a clearer image, particularly when the slower shutter speeds. With the autofocus, it did a really good job in nailing the focus. I think my focus was different to what the Nikon was achieving autofocus to what I was focusing on in manual mode, so to try and compare the two shots was quite hard. The Leica, I was using the 90mm fixed focal length, and the Nikon Zoom, the 70-200. A zoom offers a lot of versatility, so at least you can be in one location and zoom into or zoom out depending on what you need to do or where you see the shot. So that's definitely a distinct advantage, and that's the advantage of zoom lenses, so in the larger format.
with a fixed focal length. It means that if you want to change your subject composition, you have to zoom in with your feet, move in closer, move away as necessary. With the 200 zoom, you've got more reach. If you want to achieve if you can't get closer to the subject, then you have to be able to crop. So having a large sensor like the 45 megapixel on the D850 or the 40 megapixel sensor on the M10R, at least you've got some scope there to actually crop in as necessary. You're a Leica user, a rangefinder camera user. Do you like a small compact camera versus to the larger format camera? It'd be interesting to get your comments. Are you like me, going for that smaller format and lighter format, which means then I take more photographs and use the camera more often? It'd be interesting to get your feedback, and you'll welcome your comments. If you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps support the channel. If it's the first time to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Press that notification button and you will be notified when the next video is out. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks, cheers, bye.